Greetings, fellow Toriyama fans. Blue Dragon 5 here.
And Jacob Weil.
To pay tribute to the master of manga, Akira Toriyama, and celebrate 40 years of Dragon Ball proper, we're going through the animated saga that is Dragon Ball Z. To get back in touch with our anime roots as we begin our journey into Dragon Ball Z.
Previously on Journey into Dragon Ball Z, Dragon and Jacob watched as Goku transformed into a Super Saiyan to effortlessly beat the galactic tyrant Frieza in his longest battle yet. With Goku unavailable, it's up to Gohan, Krillin, Piccolo, and Kami to foil an immortal foe from the Dead Zone seeking revenge. Garlic Jr. It's very hard to say that name threateningly, isn't it?
Garlic Jr.
Yes. And it is kind of funny how this is because this is not a Toriyama creation at all, is it?
Not remotely, no. Not in this case, no. This is kind of slipped by security, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. So, Dragon, why don't you start us off then why don't you tell us all what Garlic Jr. is all about?
Yeah, so this the Garlic Jr. saga is basically the underrated filler saga of Dragon Ball Z. You know, kind of the tomes of the Dragon Ball Z, anime. And I guess kind of the volumes of the manga to be adapted. You'll notice Garlic Jr. is noticeably absent because it was created purely for the anime. Now, I don't know if it was purely created as a stall tactic, which essentially is the genesis of filler. Usually they need to pad things out. They're trying to catch up with the manga being released, the animators animating it, also just doing their work. And sometimes just for the heck of it too. Sometimes just like, what can we do? We can put our own stamp on it. So there's a lot of factors that kind of go into filler. Usually it's we're stretching the time, which I mean, it's why the Goku Frieza fights kind of 19 episodes. That kind of stuff doesn't help.
Yeah.
But also, you got the whole fake Namek thing. So filler can be done very bad at times in anime.
See, fake Namek.
Yeah. Fake Namek.
You could pretty much probably ask any anime fan what a bad example of filler is, and they'd instantly say fake Namek.
Yeah. So, growing up, I was always surprised by that revelation. This was almost kind of baby's first filler of sorts, in which this was like the real revelation. I was going through the manga for Dragon Ball Z. He's like, "Where's the Garlic Jr. saga? Where is it?
Where is it?"
Yeah. And the reason it was on my radar is, given the splash that Dead Zone made. Dead Zone essentially was the first, the first Dragon Ball Z movie that they put out, or at least one of the first. I think chronologically it was the first.
I was like, it wasn't the first Dragon Ball movie, but it was the first Z movie.
That's what I mean, the first Dragon Ball Z movie.
Yeah. Like technically made around the same time as the Saiyan saga was.
Because what you had with Dragon Ball is they basically kind of repackaged, usually they repackaged the Pilaf saga, and technically there's one movie that repackaged the Tournament saga, but it's kind of weird. The point being, they usually just repackage the origin point of Dragon Ball over and over again. But then Dragon Ball Z is where we got like these original movie premises that usually had no bearing on the series, of the very non-canon, very much out of continuity, very complete, basically filler not to be canonized. And then, of course, down the line, they performed so well it either influenced Toriyama or influenced kind of the main story, or they kind of took elements of inspiration from Toriyama and they made it they expanded into an original kind of spin-off concept.
And then when Toriyama started working on the movies himself, those became canon.
Exactly. So, given the splash that Dead Zone made, for me, Dead Zone always holds a special place in my heart. Where I think like the rest of us, we had gotten like the multi-movie like box sets of the Dragon Ball Z movies. And mind you, these are movies in the loose sense, which upon the rewatch I was completely blindsided by. As a kid, they always seemed longer, but apparently, it's like 44 minutes for the most part for these.
I told Dragon this off air previously after a previous stream we did, but I was searching the Internet Archive and found the dub version of this done in 2005, and I initially thought it was like kind of like cut in half or truncated because it was only like 40 minutes.
No,
I was like, wait, I was like, okay, I need to like, is there a part 2 or something like this? Then I checked the Dragon Ball wiki, and I was like, nope, it's only like a little over 40 minutes long.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's give credit where credit's due. You know what? Movies today, they're too long. Okay.
But this barely even counts. This would be considered like a short film.
I
By
know. Technically, yes, but in all honesty, right now we are padding the heck out of animated movies. Sometimes, I'm not saying like things like the Wild Robot fall into that category, but I'm just saying in general, though. Often we will, even that in our remakes of the animated movies, we keep padding and stretching time. Where sometimes it can be a short movie. We shouldn't be afraid of short. Yes, it's under feature length, but you take my point. We should tell the story and not waste anything.
basically. But then again, if it's too short, I'm not saying that this is a problem with Dead Zone, but I'm just saying sometimes if you cut out if it's too short, that risks of like not telling the full proper story.
Fair. Anyway,
so it's kind of a master in storytelling. You have to like find the right length of the story.
Anyway, so of course, like a lot of people, it's kind of in binging through the Dragon Ball Z movies. That was kind of like had the box sets for them, but I always had a really nostalgic experience with Dead Zone. Dead Zone's always Garlic Jr. is always going to have a special place in my heart because the first time I went to a racetrack as a kid, my grandfather took me on Labor Day. It was a tradition, and the first time I went, we point we went to a racetrack and we you bet on horses and stuff, and I basically my idealistic goal was like, oh man, they're releasing they had come across like Dead Zone was being re-released for like basically I think it was the '05 dub version, like they dubbed it proper and everything, and it was like I forget if the original box set I had like the different the Ocean dub or not, maybe it did. But they did basically the Funimation dub of Dead Zone. I had bonus features on it too, which is really enticing because basically the two things they had out was that, and they had one of the re-releases of the Saiyan Saga. It was the I forget what the official name of it was, but it was the one without the Bruce Faulkner score. It was a re-release at a very kind of. They really sold the uncut nature of it all. It was basically Dragon. I think it was marketed as Dragon Ball Z uncut, so it was like the Saiyan Saga uncut. So it was like the first disc of it. So the point being, with the Dragon Ball stuff, specifically Dead Zone, I my fanciful way of the day would go is I could make I would win enough, just enough that I could buy the Dead Zone DVD, and I actually did. I one of my I don't know if it was the first race or like the third race, but when I was there, I bet on the 5-horse. It was always this kind of kind of love, this kind of cherished memory of sorts because it's like a thing of like my grandfather. I would insist. He went with a few friends. I would insist on like we go out to see the horses to basically kind of like size them up in person.
All right.
And basically, I saw like the 5-horse was this giant horse. So as a kid, I was like, oh man, well, basically the 5-horse will take giant strides. It'll have a lot more energy. It'll be able to be bigger and stronger. Maybe it'll get across finish line faster, and basically, lo and behold, delivered.
Nice.
So basically, with that race, like the $5 I put on that one essentially, and gave me like I forget what the odds were, but it gave me like $30 I needed, to get Dead Zone. So so it was always like one of the rare wins in life. You never forget those few wins in life, and that was one of them. So always, Dragon Ball Z and Garlic Jr. and the whole Dead Zone of it all. It was a well earned. It was a emphasis on earned movie.
Nice.
So at point, man, I got a lot of nostalgia for it. So when and basically, when you look back on Garlic Jr. as a character in Garlic Jr. period, it's Dragon Ball Z's version of Emperor Pilaf. Ultimately, when you look back, and we have the same voice actor and everything, and he's a little blue, diminutive, Napoleonic sword. It's Chuck Huber doing the voice. It's essentially it's the DBZ version of Pilaf before we actually like folded Pilaf into things with like Super and GT and everything else. So again, definition of filler, but better than the Namek filler.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not Yates. I will be very clear. This arc, this saga, it ain't Yates, folks. or as iconic as the other sagas, but it is a nice breather between sagas before we kind of get into the kind of the almost chain linked sagas that we have coming up. This was like the breather between things, especially after all that giant Frieza saga. We got it's a welcome respite.
So, so I guess it's my turn.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I don't have nostalgia for this, not to the extent that Dragon does. Actually, not really at all, because this is literally my first time ever seeing anything like this. Because, as you mentioned before, I did watch the Kai version. I keep saying that.
Yeah.
And I'll reinforce that here. That this arc is not present in the Kai version at all.
No.
It's not referenced or anything.
Mm-mm.
So this is literally like a new Dragon Ball Z experience for me. Fresh territory I hadn't seen before. Obviously there's a lot of filler I haven't seen, but obviously with the overall experience, this is one that I missed. And I just gotta say, I kind of enjoyed this one. Obviously, I kind of share the sentiment with Dragon, with it being like literally almost like 10% the length of the Frieza saga, like if that, like barely like this is like 10, maybe 10 to 12 episodes depending on how you count it. Versus Frieza is like 71.
Yeah.
So that's like 1/7 of the Frieza saga. So, make that what you will, but and it's not only its shorter length that I'm in. Like I enjoyed like some of the more creative aspects of it, how it kind of explored a different universe and let other characters shine for once. So I had fun with this one.
All right. Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah. So
I guess the place to start. So we should talk about Dead Zone a little bit here at the top.
So it basically begins before Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. So like I said, Dead Zone. 40 minutes, rough. A little over 40 minutes. In hindsight, it's basically, and I always noticed the similarities with this, but it never really occurred to me. Basically, in kind of the vein of the Dragon Ball movie formula at that point in time, it was very much being the early one, being the first one before they really tried to do like new and original kind of stories. It was very much a compressed Act One of the Saiyan saga. It's basically the Raditz portion of the Saiyan saga. That's essentially what Dead Zone is, just remixed in with kind of our Emperor Pilaf villain.
And basically, it takes place in between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, like within that initial 5-year frame.
That's right. So I gotta admit, I really loved, and especially in the animation. Mind you, the movies were no slouch in the animation department, but this one particularly always had a real cinematic feel to it, and there's like a dread to it, like in the events. Like the most nostalgic thing I had from this movie was like every time I lovingly think of the Ox King in Dragon Ball Z, I always think of the scene where the Ox King's visiting, Chi-Chi and Gohan. He's going to shower the grandkid with gifts, and then there's always this really traumatizing scene of the Ox King, like getting attacked from behind. He's like having a medical issue, and then he just falls, and we reveal it's because of Garlic Jr.'s men.
Yep,
it's a very horrific kidnapping of Gohan.
It is, yeah.
And again, Chi-Chi again. Kind of waned a little bit in our recent arcs, but this was a big one for her.
It is kind of a reminder that Chi-Chi can fight.
Yeah, Chi-Chi can fight. Good mom, she's not really harping on the studies and everything yet.
Yep. So she's not the vicarious mom yet.
Yeah. So
and of course, and Goku's fishing. But we get to see him like run miles and miles with a giant fish.
Yeah. So overall, our story for Dead Zone, it's straightforward. We summon the dragon, and we actually achieve the immortality wish. It's like, honestly, honestly, first and possibly only successful immortality wish in all of Dragon Ball Z. Given all the wishing, all the Namek saga and everything, it's like everyone's trying to get immortality, and
Garlic Jr. just does it within like the first first quarter of the movie.
Exactly. And that is honestly, no joke, that is like the big claim to fame that Garlic Jr. has. That he like in Frieza, Vegeta, everyone's trying try as Kai Mei to erase Garlic Jr. We can't forget. He actually achieved it.
If he actually succeeded in wishing for immortality.
I love the backstory segments, like the way we do kind of Garlic Jr.'s backstory in Dead Zone. We have like this really minimalist kind of like like the blue and red kind of scribble line kind of like flashback of Garlic Senior and Kami. So the idea is that Garlic Jr. his axe to grind as a villain is that his father wanted to be Earth's guardian, and Kami got the position. This is like happened 300 years ago. Kami got the position presumably because Kami purged his demon side with Piccolo. Presumably that's what gave him the job. So versus Garlic Senior, who was just all that, or had too much evil in him, and that's kind of what caused all the ruckus there, and he ended up getting sealed away in the Dead Zone.
Yep.
So let's see. So Piccolo and Goku, they team up to save Gohan, but really, it's Piccolo is just kind of getting even with Garlic Jr. for all those guys ganging up on, kicking his butt, kind of like the Raditz kind of rationale for like why the initial team up happened. He's got a score to settle.
All right. Oh yeah.
And Gohan knocks Junior into the Dead Zone, kind of pulling like the magic headbutt, like Raditz does, like he did the Raditz, kind of.
Oh yeah.
All right, so just one. What do you got, Jacob?
Like I'm just saying, like that is pretty much how the story goes. It's like basically the length of a 2-parter episode, and I gotta say it's kind of interesting that Garlic Jr. is the only villain to actually successfully make a wish on the Dragon Balls.
Now, to the question of setting, I also want to just kind of throw this in again. There's always the question of continuity with this movie, because again, in general, all those Dragon Ball Z movies are out of continuity. I think, more or less, some. They're very pick and choosy about what is canon, what isn't. I think it's like it's like comic book logic, where ultimately anyone can build their own canon, like what happens, what doesn't happen.
And there are some inconsistencies with it too, like
with
the fact that Krillin is in this movie, but then in the first episode of Dragon Ball Z has no idea who Gohan is.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to get to. So again, for the Garlic Jr. saga to work, it has to be a sequel to Dead Zone, and use clips from the movie. So Dead Zone is as canonized as we can get of all these movies. Frankly, this and technically. There are 2 TV specials, and the 2 TV specials, because they're TV specials, they essentially count. There's nothing saying they didn't happen, because you basically have, the Bardock Father Goku, which we kind of talked about last time, which, it's basically it's the prelude to the whole series in a sense. And then you have the history of Trunks, so that's kind of also a prelude to the Android saga. So all that in mind, those technically, there's nothing saying those don't happen, but they're also kind of TV movies, so they're very much linked to the shows anyway. But here it's what Jacob's saying there, where we have the Kame House reunion, which doesn't happen because that can't happen because of this. Because everyone learns about Gohan, like the way it plays in the Saiyan saga is no one has seen Goku or met Gohan since 5 years ago at the World Martial Arts Tournament. There was no Gohan.
Yeah.
But Goku's showing up there at Kame House, and he's saying like, "Hey, I gotta save my son. You have a son," all that.
Yep.
The most visual thing though, Gohan's hat. It's like we have the Dragon Ball in the hat, but it gets used.
Yeah, and then the year passes, but he's still 4.
So as a kid, I never picked. As a kid, always the rationale I had was like, okay, well, at least they found it, put on the hat again. Which technically is how the only way that works. But again, the whole Kame House thing is that's what questions the continuity. That's where it's playing fast and loose with a few things, but overall, it's in canon enough. It's basically, put it this way, this was kind of the James Gunn canonization of things before there was a James Gunn canonization of things. Basically, we're going to canonize the parts that work and fit our story, which is essentially what happens in the Garlic Jr. saga. All we know is we met Garlic Jr. before. He kidnapped Gohan.
He was trapped in the Dead Zone.
got trapped in a dead zone because of Gohan using his potential, and that's about it. And, Goku and Piccolo and Gohan and Krillin were there, and they beat him.
But even though they don't fully recognize Garlic Jr. at first either.
Yeah. So, like I said, not perfect.
No. But other than that,
we get a drunken apple montage, so you get some stuff in there too.
Yeah, it is nice.
Okay, so onto the arc, the main arc itself here. So it's peacetime's post the Frieza saga. Frieza's been defeated. Goku has taken his sweet time on the return trip, and we're going to find out why next saga.
Yep.
We meet Gohan's new friend, who I believe we inherited from the other movies. So Icarus.
Oh yeah.
It was another thing we kind of canonized.
Icarus was pretty neat, to be honest.
Now, to be fair, Icarus, I want to say all of his appearances in the Dragon Ball Z show are in the filler episodes. So, again, take it for what you will. Like, I have a feeling he does not show up in Kai at all.
I don't remember him because again, it's been a while since I've seen Kai.
Yeah,
but I don't remember him.
He is in the driving episode, which is not in Kai. Honestly, that was Kai's. Jacob, that's the reason no one can be fully on board with Kai, because they didn't include the drive. They included even the Kakarot game, which essentially is Dragon Ball Z Kai, includes the driving episode. Because they realized how big a mistake that was.
That is kind of funny. I still need to play through Kakarot.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Even if the only reason you got it was for the World Martial Arts Tournament.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the reason for me. That's the reason to get it. But everything else is like, it's basically getting to play through. It's getting to watch the show with your hands.
Basically, if they made a Kakarot style game just chronicling the adventures of the first Dragon Ball series, you'd be set.
Yes, it would be everything.
But I don't think that's going to happen.
No, but I mean, they are kind of apparently there's like a crisis going on again with the Dragon Ball machine right now, and I mentioned this too. They're trying to get caught up and trying to figure out where to go now with the lack of Toriyama, but there's also a question of like how many times can we repackage like the stuff we've already done, because we put out Kakarot and we put out Sparking Zero, but it's pretty much our big hat trick. Just like how can we cleverly just replay everything again? To me, way you do it. Let's do Dragon Ball. Let's take Kakarot and just do his Dragon Ball for the whole game. Or at the very least, something in line with that. Like, just do a Dragon Ball adventure game.
And you said that potentially Dragon Ball's holding up the entire economy of Japan.
I mean, that's what I've been hearing, yeah. And I saw like an article today about the game, like in the worry over the games of Dragon Ball in the future. So with that in mind, it's like it's this delicate thing where again Dragon Ball technically cannot end. That's that's part of the reason we have Daima. Part of the reason, obviously, in the first place, that's why Toriyama even did it. But beyond that, it's like, going past that, I think they're trying to figure out what the next steps are, where, they have story to tell. But anyway, we're getting off point. So, yeah, so at a point we inherit, we have, Gohan's little dragon pal, Icarus. I always thought he was cute. I always liked Icarus.
Yeah, Icarus is pretty neat.
Yeah. So, he's hitting the books, but also he's experiencing the world. Gohan's grown up quite a bit. He's basically the position we take with Gohan here and in the Android saga is, that was probably the Cell saga thing, but let's just say for simplicity's sake, here in the Android saga, it's Gohan is basically a normal version of Kid Goku. Like if Kid Goku wasn't, as off the wall and just kind of removed from society, aside from him and Grandpa Gohan. It's like if he actually hit the books and just kind of was trying to
Yep.
Yeah, the point that I guess what I'm saying is it's kind of like if Kid Goku kind of had more of a family unit, kind of had more of a a normal upbringing.
Gohan's growing up more adjusted to the world than Kid Goku was.
Exactly. He's not a kid who was raised in the mountains, even though he technically is kind of raised in the mountains. You see my point.
Yeah, but he has more of a family unit.
Yeah. All right. So meanwhile, on the flip side, there's what's going on with Gohan. Krillin Krillin's got a girlfriend.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so
Marin.
Krillin has a new girlfriend. He's wearing some fancy duds. There's a cool car, and he's got his new girlfriend, Marin. So Marin is basically, I guess, distilled down. Marin is an extra shapely and extra ditzy version of Bulma.
Yeah, she like as I told you when I saw the thumbnail for this episode on Crunchyroll, I thought she was Bulma.
Yeah.
I mean, she looks exactly like Bulma.
Technically, the only difference, like, in all, okay, so I guess the Boyle Marin, Marin is kind of like the fan service version, like the extra fan service version of Bulma with different color eyes. It's essentially what Marin, it's essentially what Marin ended up being.
She even has like this one of the same hairstyles as Bulma too.
Yeah, and that might have something to do with the whole thing. Like Bulma in the manga is supposed to have purple hair, which is why Trunks has purple hair later on.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I know that's the thing. So it's kind of this weird kind of carryover where I get, and again, because this is kind of like, this is very separate from the manga. It's yeah, I don't know if it's like a color thing when they in production wise when they're working on it, because yeah, as we explored with Vegeta, sometimes the hair colors didn't translate on the first go, and it might have been like it's too late to change it now. They'll both have blue hair. I don't know. It feels like if this were a manga, we would, in hindsight, it kind of feels like we would have given her a different hair color so she doesn't look exactly like Bulma. It would have been like like a blonde color. But then again, if we make it blonde, that's going to have some really weird implications down the line. So we can't really make her blonde.
Yeah, and also strangely, she has a very similar name to someone else Krillin is close to later on,
Yes.
but spelled slightly differently.
Yes. So look, Marin's cute, but she's extremely shallow, and she flirts with every guy that she sees, even Gohan. And she's it's just let's be honest. Krillin was blinded by curves. Is exactly what happened.
And then like, yeah, and then she calls basically any woman an old, like a middle-aged lady.
Yeah, which I'm sure Chi-Chi and Bulma really did not appreciate.
Yeah, and though to be fair, though Bulma is technically older than Chi-Chi.
Yeah, no, that's true. Even though Chi-Chi kind of protests this later on, say, "Well, no, Chi-Chi, that's we know for a fact that's not true."
Well, I mean, Bulma protested that Chi-Chi's older. like,
Yeah.
then, but technically, Chi-Chi's is younger because she's around Goku's age.
Well, yeah, that's right.
So yeah.
Yeah. I really feel it was a missed opportunity that Marin should have been getting on Bulma's last nerve more than Chi-Chi's last nerve. I really feel that's that just didn't really make a lot of sense because again, like with the ages and beyond that, just again, Bulma, the whole gag really seems to be it's Bulma being replaced by the newer, hotter model. It's kind of like that's what the vibe I get from a visual standpoint. That's what it feels like. But of course, first of all, let's be honest, okay. No one's ever going to top the original Bulma. Okay, now try as Marin might, she's not going to top there. She tries though. She really tries. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to say she unsuccessfully tries, but I mean, let's be still no topping the original.
Nope.
Okay, more on that later.
Yep. And the fact that even other characters compete for her as well.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Piccolo and Kami real quick to start this for them. So, Kami offers Piccolo the job as the Earth's Guardian. So he sees the potential for Piccolo's growth after the dynamic saga of it all. So he's get a lot of growth on Piccolo. He's seeing that he's not nowhere near as dark and evil as he once started off being, and it's. I think it's also Kami. He's Kami post Guru. I mean, I know Kami wasn't there for it, but it makes me think that having kind of that link with Piccolo, so he was there during it, so maybe he knew about it that way. But Guru, he passed on the guardianship to one of his younger followers. So I think he's kind of seeing that he should pass it on to Piccolo, who's younger and stronger and all that.
Yeah.
Hey, it's really nice that we're seeing the good in Piccolo, and we're kind of setting this up. Even if it is filler, we are kind of setting up kind of a runner with Kami and Piccolo, where Kami does want Piccolo to kind of take on more responsibility.
Piccolo doesn't accept, but
No. But again, the seed is planted there, so maybe he kind of will, at least to some degree. But we'll get there. And Piccolo, ever since his introduction in Dragon Ball, the world martial arts tournament, Piccolo's always been like the stubborn teen. He always like treats Kami. He's like, yeah, old man. He's just very much like the stubborn like son or the stubborn nephew of Kami.
But meanwhile,
Meanwhile, at the lookout, Mr. Popo, he's captured in this awesome looking paralysis net.
by none other than
Garlic Jr. and the Spice Boys. Spies. That's actually what their name is.
Spies.
Well, not that part, but Spice Boys.
I know.
Yeah, we gotta say it like Tim Curry.
Spies.
See, to some degree, Tim Curry is a Spice Boy because of the last name. So our Spice Boys are let's see, running through the gamut here. We have spice, vinegar, mustard, and salt.
Is one of them actually named Spice?
I think one of them is actually named Spice.
Huh.
You could double check, but I think that's what it is. I think it's spice, vinegar, mustard, and salt.
Let me double check.
And mind you, he has these are not the dead. These are different henchmen. These are not the Dead Zone trio. Those guys. I don't.
Well, one of them is named Spice. He is the leader of the Spice Boys.
Yeah.
Vinegar, mustard, and salt. You're right.
There we go. Again, Toriyama, he's got to stop writing while he's hungry, but it's too late now.
Well, to be fair, Toriyama probably didn't name these guys.
Oh well, yeah, you're right, but still, somebody was hungry, looking for inspiration from Toriyama. Was like, well, Toriyama always names them after food. Let's just go with more food. Like, what makes sense for garlic? Well, other spices.
Yep.
So we're at the lookout basically through Mr. Popo. We recap, this conversation with Mr. Popo. Recap Dead Zone in case anyone hadn't seen it. Again, we kind of do the James Gunn recap on it. We basically recap how Garlic is immortal. He hates Kami and he hates Gohan. He hates Kami and he wants to get revenge on Gohan. That's essentially the three tiers of Garlic. It's all you need to know.
Yep.
So,
and his plot is to plunge the entire world into madness.
Yes.
Using the black water mist.
Yes, and he shrinks Mr. Popo, and later on Kami puts him in these little glass jars.
So how exactly did Garlic Jr. break free from the Dead Zone?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. So apparently every 12,000 years, hold on a second, the
Makio Star.
Makio Star, yes, the Makio Star. The Makio Star basically comes into alignment with the planet, and then basically it empowers Garlic Jr. enough that he can escape the Dead Zone.
Yep. Doesn't really explain like what the Makio Star is or anything like that.
Well, Makio Star is kind of like a planet. Again, it's like a planet or a comet of some kind that kind of goes into alignment.
I know, but the point is, it still doesn't really explain where it is, where it comes from, anything like that.
Well, you're right about that. We don't really, but I don't think we really need to know.
Again, who cares? We don't care. Right?
Right. Right, so what's going on at Kami House, Jacob?
Well, there's a party going on there. And basically, Chi-Chi's on her way just to find Gohan.
Yeah, so Krillin invited Gohan to the party at Master Roshi's house, and asked Chi-Chi's permission. She said no. So Gohan, again, let's make sure we establish Gohan's a good kid. He deserves to let off a little steam. He studies all the time. His mother's overprotective, and he's just going out just to spend some time with friends. Nothing crazy.
Better to beg forgiveness than ask permission.
Exactly. So Chi-Chi gets onto this, and she ends up beating him there. But so Kami House, there's a bit of a party going on. Master Roshi, he is oogling Marin as the new object of his desire.
Of course,
it's basically Marin is a far less guarded Bulma. So this is like he's won the lottery here, and plus as master, he gets to approve apparently this is running gag, or Master Roshi has to give approval over the girlfriends of his mentees.
Of course he does.
Which basically means he gets to give her a once over, which has horrible implications. But we're just gonna.
Yeah, kind of.
So we really see how shallow she is. Like she's putting the moves on Yancha and everything. Just, kind of mostly in jest, but still, it's like it's a ticking off Bulma. Bulma has a new hairstyle. She's got kind of another '80s. Again, so Dragon Ball technically, Dragon Ball Z was technically in the '80s, so we do a lot of '80s hairstyles on Bulma.
Yep. And she ends up calling Chi Chi an old lady.
Marin.
Yeah, Marin ends up calling Chi Chi an old lady.
Yep. We should also mention, okay, Marin in the yellow swimsuit.
Yeah, like, yep.
I mean, good God, she's a knockout in the revealing yellow one piece. Come on,
backless too.
Yes. I mean, backless and riding up. That's all we're gonna say there. So
it does kind of make you wonder how Krillin managed to snag her.
It's the Jimmy Olsen effect, man. It's it's always the quiet ones.
I guess so, but it doesn't really apply to Krillin though.
I don't know. Krillin, look, honestly, I think it's because of what the turtle says later. We're gonna get there. My favorite scene the whole saga is gonna be with the turtle, but the turtle kind of, Krillin's a good guy.
Yep.
Krillin's, I think Krillin is kind of, in the course of Dragon Ball Z, he's kind of like the best human character that we have. Period.
I mean, it would have been Goku, but obviously he's not human.
Exactly. So I kind of went out the window there. So by proxy, it's Krillin.
Yep, he's Goku's best friend. He's the best human character.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
All right. Anyway, so point being, Marin's kind of stirring the pot. Again, Chi-Chi shows up and she's looking for Gohan, who's not there yet. Krill's like, oh boy, poor Gohan's gonna have to deal with this. And then Marin stirs things up further by calling her old lady, telling her to chill out. And Chi-Chi essentially, not even a far exaggeration. She kind of has a gag. She does a Kaioken. She's about to wipe the floor with Marin.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the way Marin is portrayed kind of makes you wonder if she's like doing all this on purpose or if it's just because of her ditzy is or what.
And I think she really just is that ditzy.
It's like she's not doing it maliciously.
Yeah, not doing it maliciously, just being like real cocky and just kind of being cocky and ditzy.
Yeah. But then she and Krillin go scuba diving.
Yeah, they go into the water. Importantly, they're separating. They're under the water. Of course, after Master Roshi cops a feel in breaking up the two women.
Yep.
He's copping several feels, actually. I gotta be honest. It always disturbs me of all the perviness of Master Roshi. It always disturbs me when he does stuff like that with Chi-Chi because, like, come on, man, Goku's like, he's your guy. It's like.
Yeah, that's his wife.
Yeah, that's always the one perviness of Master Roshi. That's the one that actually kind of bothers me.
At least it's like leave Chi-Chi alone at least.
Yeah, it's like, come on. Well, it's not here. It's not only is it like, come on. He's he's the wife of your star student and also of he's the daughter.
And the daughter of another one of his students.
That's to me that's it. That's like. That's the line right there you don't cross. And occasionally, I think like twice in the whole series. To be fair, it's not like a regular thing. Here, when he's trying to break her up, his head's going in the bosom. So he's having a good time. The other, in his defense, that was more of a happy. He didn't intentionally do that one. That one is just more like he's holding her back, but he could have readjusted himself.
Yeah.
I think there might be one other time, but I think he's trying to peek up, or I can't remember. But here's the thing: even that other time, if I remember, we're going to see it. I think in the next saga. When that happens, I think it's more of like an incidental. It's kind of a weird thing. Roshi just kind of he's intruding on the moment, but he's not actually trying to cop a feel. But I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. Anyway.
Yeah.
So the point being, everyone's trying to hold Chi-Chi back, and at this time, the Blackwater Mist is unleashed into the world. Garlic Jr. He's found the Blackwater Mist, and essentially this thing brings out the greed and evil desires within humanity. So Basically, this is his way of getting an army, like an army on Earth, with no muss and no fuss. He'll have an army of people that will do his bidding.
So basically, instead of trying to take it over, just have everybody be on his side.
Exactly, and I love the detail here. Like, we have like kind of our gag manga mode. Like everyone's like holding her back, but it's kind of in the moment of like genuine, like, oh no, like Chi-Chi's like screaming at like the big plume of evil coming at him. It's like yeah. So Gohan arrives.
So Garlic Jr. still remains to be like one of the most effective Dragon Ball villains.
He's getting, again, guy's only got 10 episodes. He's getting a lot accomplished.
He technically succeeds in turning everyone on Earth evil.
That's the thing. He's accomplishing everything he's setting out to do so far, with the exception of getting revenge on Goku, because he can't do that.
Because Goku's not here.
Exactly.
And basically, though, if Goku was here at the current point, he wouldn't have. Garlic Jr. still wouldn't have stood a chance.
Now, I have a question for you.
Yeah, me?
Yeah, but you know what? Let's put a pin in it. I'll get to it in a bit there. But yes, I got a question for you. Just remind me of it.
Okay.
All right. So Gohan arrives, and Gohan arrives, and
after hiding from the mist.
Well, yeah, after hiding from the mist, and he shows up there, and I love that Marin convinces Krillin to take the fall for Gohan, so Chi-Chi won't be too hard on him. And of course, they try that, but then Chi-Chi very eerily, and I love the horrific horror movie kind of vibe to this. Chi-Chi's hitting Gohan. Initially, he's thinking it's like a punishment thing, and it's like, oh god, this is bad. She's trying to kill him.
Yeah, I kind of know. I was like, they're like, geez, Chi-Chi, calm down. But they're like, oh no, she's not actually. She's not actually. By the way, in her right mind, yeah.
Earlier, I just wanted because you bring it up every podcast, but this is the one time it's actually really applicable. We call out that Chi-Chi, this is the episode where Krillin actually points out that Chi-Chi's like the most feared woman in the universe because.
Yep.
I guess technically we've done it twice. Master Roshi kind of verbalized at the end of the Saiyan saga, and then, at the end of the Frieza saga, and now we have with Krillin. So everyone, at least once, each Dragon Ball character will be able to say that.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Even Goku's afraid of her
because she has food.
Yes, and anger issues.
That too.
Yeah. And Goku's subservient because of the food, but he's afraid of her because, oh god, this is the temper on this one.
Yep, and she literally is the most powerful being in the universe. Not the strongest, but the most powerful.
Oh, yeah.
The second most powerful person in the universe? Bulma.
That's true. All right, so Garlic Jr. sends the Spice Boys. They're tasked with finding Gohan and bringing him back to look out for revenge.
Yeah, and they pretty much kind of succeed in that plan.
Yeah, he ends up there anyway, so it all worked out.
Yep, so again, Garlic Jr. in a short amount of time is quite effective.
So in conversation, we exposit the sacred one, only the sacred one. Now, I gotta be honest, I'm really ticked off. This is not really a gripe against this arc because we've done this before. We really just bought it. We keep cheapening the sacred water every time. Okay, this whole point of the sacred water is like a training exercise with corn. That's the whole point of it. And then we have like the super divine water or whatever that actually allowed Goku to take out Demon King Piccolo Sr., which always bugged me because I think he should have just earned that. And then we're doing it here, like, okay, so this is like the actual sacred water that is designed as a foil to the Blackwater Mist. Like, come on, guys, really? Anyway, so
at least it makes more sense here.
I mean, well, how does it make more sense here?
I mean, because Blackwater Mist, then
sacred water, like there's a foil. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in that way, yeah. Instead of just we could have just, instead of him having to go on a quest to defeat King Piccolo.
Yeah, at least it's not a power up. So I guess that's your point then.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm saying.
Okay.
So it's like it's in a way that makes sense. It acts as like an antidote to the Blackwater Mist.
Right, so thankfully, Piccolo shows up to lend an assist here. Again, he's ticked off. He got beaten in a fight, and he's probably put two and two together. Garlic Jr.'s back, so he's looking to get even as Piccolo's wont to do. So he lends an assist, but in doing so, he gets bitten by Yamcha.
Oh boy!
And then others too. Pretty much everyone gets a play out of Piccolo, even Poir. Everyone's like, everyone's attacking Piccolo, and he's not having it. I love that Piccolo for a moment. He's like, oh man, don't maybe have to kill Yamcha.
And with this, if someone infected by the Blackwater Mist bites someone else, it passes on the infection.
Yes, seemingly.
Seemingly. Well, I mean, as it's evidenced by others, but seemingly that's what happens to Piccolo.
Yeah.
Again, like kind of adding to this. I mean, this entire arc is kind of inspired by horror movies in a way.
Oh yeah.
Like that's definitely drawing upon vampires.
Yep. So that's a big problem. Piccolo's now been transformed. Before he does, though, I love in the midst of he sends Gohan and Krillin out. And I gotta admit, so this is a thing of like, I really love Piccolo like trusting Gohan to save the day, telling him like go to the lookout, beat Junior, get a cure for this, etc. However, like it's a good moment, but it is very melodramatic. Like Gohan, no, it's really we really extend it.
No, Gohan.
Yep, but again, I love me some the Gohan Piccolo dynamic and the relationship there. So it's pretty cool.
This arc really does allow their relationship to kind of build up a bit.
Has a really classy moment at the end of it with them. We'll get there. Plus, I mean, this is picking up where we left off with the Frieza saga. The whole, always be around Gohan. It's beautiful.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so they're flying. It's Gohan, Krillin, Marinicarus. They fly off. And unfortunately, we're basically stuck with Marin, kind of like Jennifer from the Back to the Future sequels, where the girl's in the mode of transport now. We can't just leave her there, so she's basically luggage. So they end up. The solution to this, we can't take her on the main adventure, but she doesn't want to go, so we're going to drop her off with Korn and Yajirobe on the way up to the lookout.
And then they end up competing over her.
Well, I don't know about competing over, but they end up losing to her at poker, strip poker.
Yep. Even though Korn doesn't really have any clothes to begin with.
Well, and he's bad at again. Thing was just poker, but they end up she's taking him to the cleaners, so everything she's.
Pretty much, yeah.
It bothers me that Korrin, there's like a second power pole that he's lost to her, but
Oh god.
Then again, he has like many nimbuses, so I guess it tracks.
And she's just always scritching Korrin's chin.
Yep. So the gag here I love the gag here. Like has how this could happen. Well, Korrin he's such a bad card player. He constantly cheats, but he can't cheat with her and read her mind because there's nothing going on in there. Pretty funny.
There's like one of the most powerful beings in the world cheats at poker.
Yep. He's just really dumb and really lucky.
Yep.
Right. So, let's see. So, as we mentioned earlier, Kami got bottled when he showed up to the lookout.
Oh yeah.
Again, he and Junior they got history, because of Junior's father. What do you think about just Kami and Garlic Junior's whole deal? Like, what do you think about that?
I mean, it's kind of an interesting foil. I mean, Dead Zone kind of did explore their history. I mean, we don't get much more on it here.
Yeah.
Even though we kind of do get more of the history of the previous Guardians of Earth in this saga, which is pretty interesting.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I do really kind of like the dynamic that Kami and Garlic Jr. have. They don't interact much, but it is pretty neat nonetheless. And the fact that he's able to overpower Kami is pretty neat too.
Now, I forget if we do it here or Dead Zone. I think we did it here. We have Kami trying the Kamikaze move. Yeah, he tries to, tries to blow him. He tries to blow Garlic Jr. up, but then of course he was reminded that he's immortal, so it'd be a very futile effort.
Pretty much.
Plus, we kill Piccolo too, which I don't think he wants.
Oh yeah.
So, anyways, so Kami gets bottled, and then we have this, this battle at the lookout where Gohan ultimate after they duke it out with Junior's Spice Boys. Uh, Gohan ends up having to fight Piccolo. The battle is pretty rough, man. Piccolo is no lightweight.
Nope.
Yeah. Of course, while this is happening, Krillin's getting kicked around literally kicked around by Junior. He's putting up a good fight. They're both putting up good fights, though. And I love that Gohan is very determined to save everyone, and it's. And also, I love that you really stand up to Gohan. You're not telling about it. I'm not telling you anything about my father, where he is, and everything. Because of course, you can't just say Goku's not on the planet.
I mean, yeah, like I said, if Goku was here, he wouldn't have stood a chance.
Yeah. So Gohan. So Gohan's going. He's really coming along as a fighter. He's going the distance. He's not obviously. He's got the determination of his father, but very much kind of his father and Piccolo.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. But
I mean, that's always like the cool thing with Gohan that at least in the classic Funimation, they'll kind of have it's the voice of Kid Goku, in this very different kind of like situation. So it's kind of a little bit of throwback to original Dragon Ball, putting that Goku in a very different situation. I mean, obviously it's Gohan,
and the same voice of Emperor Pilaf.
Yeah. So it's kind of there's something to enjoy about that, but I just love that he's it's kind of like it's such a different view of what Goku could have been. That was like the big impetus with Gohan is that it's kind of like getting another bite at the apple, but getting to go with the new status quo, and like we have Energy Blast, we have a whole different genre of story that we're going with, and we kind of retell it in a new way through this younger Goku.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Piccolo does make for an interesting mentor.
Absolutely, and again, it's kind of like let's re-explore kind of like some ideas we had in Dragon Ball. We're going to really reinvent them. So, like, what if Goku was actually befriending Piccolo Senior?
Yeah. I don't think Piccolo Senior would be interested though.
No, he wouldn't. But neither was Junior initially.
Fair enough.
Anyway. So Krillin seemingly gets bitten by Piccolo and turned as well. So the odds are he's getting beaten up. He's fighting Krillin and Piccolo. He's trying not to hurt him, but he's also they're no slouches, so he's really got to put some oomph into it. And all of this contributing, we then reveal epically. We have the epic reveal that Piccolo faked being infected on Kami Island.
Which is kind of weird considering how did he change his eye color?
Well, I mean, he can manifest clothes and stuff, and apparently he can heal too. That's the bigger thing for me is that apparently Piccolo can heal himself, which is kind of new. Because he was bitten all over the place. And we saw holes in the neck, and then the holes are gone, so he can heal himself. Cool. I know it can regenerate, but like an arm and stuff. But it's not really losing a limb.
Yep.
Anyway, so Piccolo though, and hey, here's what I wanted to ask you earlier. So, do you think Piccolo is immune because he's not human, or do you think it's because he's kind of like because he's kind of in relation to Kami, or just Namekian? Like, do you think
I honestly have no idea.
I mean, part of me wants to say because he's not human, but then again, we have like all the animal hybrid kind of characters in the world of Toriyama's world. So with that, kind of, I don't know if I can fully say like what about the fox guy or like the wolf guy or
Again, I really have no idea. Maybe his Namekian blood prevented it.
All right. I mean, do you have any opinion? Like, if you had to make it, that's what you stick with, Namekian blood.
I mean, or demon blood, who knows?
All right. Fine. Okay, so amidst all this, he looped Krillin in, so Krillin was. Now, the real question is, how the heck did Krillin change his eye color and everything? That's the real question.
Yeah, I guess.
But again, artistic liberty. So they did all this, so Piccolo could get
It's because the audience needed to think that they were under the spell.
Yeah. Anyway, so all of this was in service of Piccolo getting close enough to Garlic Jr. that he could basically save Kami and Mr. Popo, so he wouldn't have to hold back when fighting him.
Yep.
Which is a very clever. It's a highlight of the arc. Wouldn't you agree? Did you like? How did you feel about the reveal?
The reveal that they were pretending.
Yes.
I liked it. It was kind of anticipated, considering, but I did. But it was pretty neat, and even though it technically didn't do much to ultimately undermine Garlic Jr.
So on the rewatch, I could have sworn. Here's the thing: the way I remembered it was like Piccolo was faking it the whole time, but on the rewatch, I couldn't remember because because we're animating it like he actually got infected and the whole vampire thing. Like, oh god, maybe they fight him and then they cure him like mid battle, and that's how it works. But then that reveal, it got me a second time. It's like yes,
Yep.
suckered me in. So they have the water. Unfortunately, they have no way to disperse it to the world within the 24 hours they have left before everything becomes permanent. Mr. Popo, he's got an idea. He's going to use the 7 air currents of the world that's built into the lookout. It's in the recesses of the lookout, and they got to go past this, this very dangerous path that would put them right in the path of the past guardians.
And those past guardians have it out for Kami
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah, we don't really get quite into the reason. All we know is that Kami has a tendency to shoot his mouth off to higher authority, which is one of the reasons we love him. Kami, he sticks up for the little guy. That's his whole. It's the whole point. Goku really made a positive impact on Kami. Kami was very hands off. Goku kind of inspired him to really be more hands on. I always kind of liked that subtext with the Kami stuff.
Yep.
And I guess my presumption, filling the blanks, is that the Guardians really look down like Kami's, like hands-on tactics, and that's kind of why they're basically trying to prevent him from being able to impact like the fate of the world. Like he should be an observer versus like a guy trying to like this whole mess is because of you, Kami.
Like basically, they don't like the fact that he's trying to save the world.
Yeah, they want him to be more like a Watu the Watcher.
It's like he watches but doesn't interfere.
Yeah. I do love, we do this occasionally too with whole Kami dealing with his bosses, and like with King Yama and stuff. Sometimes we get comedy with Kami, and this was like the run for it gag. Like, Mr. Popo, we should run for it. Just running amidst the action.
Yep. I will admit that part the whole thing with the other Guardians did kind of drag on for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you. However, one thing that came from it that I did like. So while Piccolo's fighting the now buff Garlic Jr., because the Machio Star boosts his power and he's immortal and he's basically revealing he's transforming like he did in Dead Zone. They're having this big old battle and it's going on there. He's again because he's immortal, you can't really beat him. Even though Gohan, he basically cannonballed through him.
Kind of like father like son.
Yeah, it's the go-to move.
And that didn't kill him.
Yeah, because you have a big old hole in him.
It's like he has that up on Piccolo.
That's true.
Because remember that's the move that did in King Piccolo.
I love, by the way, that King Piccolo, his folly was, he asked for eternal youth instead of immortality. He's so cocky, like eternal youth's all I need. Well, if you said immortality, you'd never die, right?
I mean, yeah, technically.
It's like you get tired a lot, I'm sure, but it's still. I mean, you were very formal when you were an old man.
Yep.
How much power do you need, you egomaniac?
And then he killed the dragon.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't think he needed it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's what I'm saying. It was the hubris. The hubris is what got him. It's for immortality.
Yeah, but Garlic Jr. He basically said, cut the crap, wished for immortality.
That was one thing with the dub that also bothered me, because I remember when we talked about it, I think we mentioned this. When he made the wish to the dragon, they actually botched it, I think, in the dub, where I think he says immortality instead of... he says immortality instead of eternal youth. I think.
But then how was he able to die?
Well, I'm saying, like, they mentioned earlier eternal youth. I think it was like in the dub, they accidentally said immortality instead of eternal youth.
Huh.
I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Part of me thinks like, yeah, I think he might have accidentally, in the Funimation dub of that wish, I think he might have said immortality, but when he actually made the wish to the dragon.
Honestly, I don't remember. I'm not gonna rewatch all of Dragon Ball to find out.
You realize you just need to watch and make the wish, right?
I know, but I don't know exactly where that is.
Anyway, yeah. So point is irrelevant. If I might be misremembering, I hope I am misremembering that. Regardless, because I just like that just moment to just play the way it's supposed to. So as this battle is going on, we have this great ticking clock at play here. It's there's a lot of Back to the Future in this arc, and I really love that. So Kami is getting attacked by the Guardians, and he's weakening. As Kami is weakening, Piccolo, they're both kind of fading from existence, kind of like Marty McFly at the end of Back to the Future.
Yep.
And I just love like the tension there, and like Piccolo has a lot of respect for Kami for hanging in there, but still, it's like, oh boy, he's getting. Piccolo, he's weakening, and Gohan's really stepping up there in the moment. So with the Blackwater Mist, kind of especially Garlic Jr. goes to Plan B. Plan B is he's reopened. He's going with the greatest hits. Dead Zone Vortex reopened.
Not the smartest move.
No.
Considering that's what did him in last time.
I like the solution though, where basically it's like, hey, it's like we're doing the moon exploding move from Piccolo's playbook. It's like, hey, destroy the Makio Star, Gohan. Use the Maseko, blow it up.
Yep, and when Gohan is conflicted because Piccolo's fading because of what's happening to Kami, Krillin's in there.
Yeah, Krillin's in there too, and he's worried that they could die
if he removes the shield.
Yep.
But after like a couple episodes, basically like almost a whole episode of them like, do it, Gohan, get rid of the shield and destroy the star.
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of thing. That's the melodrama I'm talking about. Okay, look, it's a good idea, but we're really stretching it out.
Yep.
Anyway, so eventually, they kind of force the decision on Gohan. He ends up, unleashing a huge Maseko that blows up the Makio Star, and Garlic Jr. ends up getting sucked into the dead zone.
Because basically, that's what the Makio Star is what was making him ripped.
Yeah.
Speaking of things about the future, why is everybody in the future so ripped?
Yep.
Yep. I mean, so yeah, basically, or in this case, you could say swole. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so because he's no longer ripped, Garlic Jr. gets sucked into the dead zone once again.
Yeah. Well, technically, it wasn't the only reason he could do that before the Makio Star. The whole reason he could open the dead zone was because of the Makio Star, though.
Yep. But either way, he lost all of his power, got blasted into the dead zone, this time for good.
Yep, not for another 12,000 years. Well, the Makio Star gone, never. He's in there forever.
Yep, and he can't die.
Yep, so that's there's a fate worse than death for you there.
Literally, because he can't die.
Exactly. So everyone comes to. Meanwhile, we have like Chi-Chi with the biker gang, which is really funny.
It's like, did you know your mothers are waiting for you? Go home.
It's adorable.
All right, now, the thing is, they look like grown men too.
Well, they are grown men.
Don't you know your mothers are worried about you?
Exactly, and she's right. They are. All you bikers out there, your mothers are worried about you. Give them a call. Give them a call.
Like, call your mother.
Yeah. So I love this Piccolo and Gohan exchange after all is said and done. Where it's a beautiful thing. Where, man, I wish my dad was here. Your dad was here, Gohan. And,
he was with you.
It was just beautiful. You're a good friend, Piccolo. It's like, yes, man, I love that.
Basically, this does further cement, like, kind of like add more credence to Piccolo further becoming one of the good guys.
Yep. And Gohan's non-biological father.
Yep, he's basically a father figure to Gohan at this point.
That's true. He also killed his father, but still.
At one point, yes.
Yeah, technically.
He killed his father, then raised him as his own for a while.
So you're probably wondering what the heck's going on with Vegeta. Well, I'm glad you asked.
Because interspersed throughout these episodes are various things that Vegeta does.
Yeah.
He's training in space.
Yeah, Vegeta essentially he's kind of training in space, but he's taken out disparate kind of like basically the planets that I want to say the brokered planets. I could be wrong. If like I want my head canon is that these are the planets that basically Frieza sold. So Frieza eradicated the species of planets, and and Frieza basically sold the planets to people on the condition that they will be Frieza's followers.
And so, yeah, basically, he's going around eliminating the remnants of the Frieza Force, kind of.
Essentially, Frieza Force, or at least Frieza affiliated like space. Yeah, that's the thing. If these are the people that bought the planets in the understanding that we will serve Lord Frieza, essentially they're still Frieza followers of some kind.
All the while trying to find Goku and figure out how he became a Super Saiyan.
Exactly. So he's getting some training in while he's also, kind of sticking it to Frieza as for target. But I like that he wasn't even trying to murder outright, but you idiots attacked me. So there you go.
Yeah.
And then so he's chasing the Super Saiyan on Goku. That's his big goal. That's a huge thing with Vegeta. He won't die happy until he's a Super Saiyan.
Yep.
Until he's a Super Saiyan and has surpassed Goku. Those are the parameters.
Goku became Super Saiyan first, then who knows? Somebody else might become a Super Saiyan first.
Yeah, it might drive him crazy.
Yep.
All right, so then we have our epilogue episode after all that is said and done. So
the finale, which has nothing to do with any arc.
No, it's an epilogue.
Yep, Krillin's proposal.
Yeah, so Krillin, he's kind of engaged to Marin.
Yep, kind of.
Kind of, it's just very casual, and there's a very kind of in the moment proposal of sorts, and she very half-heartedly goes along with it, mainly because she maybe wants a wedding. She wants honestly, I think she just wants she wants a wedding registry before she wants a wedding. She just wants them before she wants
she likes the idea of getting married.
Yeah,
not actually being married.
Again, she's very non-committal and always willing to walk out with him on the next guy in line, especially Yamcha.
And not to mention forcing him to shop and all that.
Yeah, all that. So we have this. So it's the Master Roshi's turtle. So it's the turtle's birthday, and he summons everyone in there, and they're all like, "What are you there?" And then we reveal the turtle basically guilts them all into a party where you all remembered my birthday. And he's very touched with, Jacob, I was so I can't explain it well, but I was genuinely I completely forgot about how impactful this was. I was so moved and found it so charming. It was the turtle's birthday, and they all celebrated his birthday, and that scene between the turtle and Krillin just melted my heart in so many places. I found it so adorable, and I love that turtle, man.
Like he's 1,000. It's his 1,000.
Yeah,
birthday,
and they have all the candles on the cake,
and they're like everyone's like. Like, happy birthday!
Yeah, there's a giant flame.
Yeah, and then he's basically saying to Krillin, like, you're a good man, Krillin.
You're a good person, Krillin.
Yep.
And it's like Krillin's like thinking, I don't know if I have any right to marry Marin. I don't like money. I don't come from money or anything. And it's because you're a good person. That's I love it. I kind of wish the moral from the turtle was, if she can't see that, maybe she's not worth it. Then Krillin would say, I don't know. And then he would offer the solution. But, turtle's being helpful.
He then suggests the mermaid's tear.
Yes, the mermaid's tear pearl, which basically is like deep in the ocean nearby. He gives them the instructions where to find it.
And also is like, to go on your point earlier before the tears, like, me, I'm a big fan of turtles. I have two little turtles of my own.
You got Cuff, you got Link.
Yes. But in all seriousness, I do have two little pet turtles. I've had them for not 1,000 years, obviously, but I've had them for over 10 years.
I mean, you don't know what they've done before you.
Well, what they did before me was they were hatched because I caught them when they were babies.
Yeah, well, fine. Take all the mystery out of it.
I've had them for technically 11 years now.
All right.
So not 1,000, but
how sweet was this exchange with the turtle? Was awesome in this episode, wasn't he?
He was.
Very cute. It was like plus you got to remember, Jacob, the turtle. I think this is what kind of melted my heart at the end of it. Is that deep down, Turtle is very pivotal in Dragon Ball because without the turtle showing up in episode, I think was it episode 2 or 3 the turtle shows up.
I think it was. I think it was probably 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think he showed. Honestly, I want to say he shows up at the end of 2.
Because Goku saved him, and
Yeah,
then
Goku saves him, and then at the top of 3 is like where we were introduced to Master Roshi. That's what I think happens.
yep. There's other things that happen in that episode too, but
Well, no, there's things that happen in episode 3, but yeah.
yep. And that's how you get the extra Dragon Balls.
Yes. Well, actually, wait a minute. Yeah, that's the honestly, Jacob might all be in episode 3. I think episode 3 is where we have the turtle we have the big scene, and then the turtle, and then the other big scene.
Yeah.
I think that may have all happened in episode 3. Point being, again, without the turtle, we do not springboard into. We don't have Dragon Ball Z. Frankly, we don't have Master Roshi. We don't have Goku learning, the Kamehameha Wave. We don't have any of that. Nope. So the turtle is again the whole turtle school and everything. The turtle was, we introduced the mascot before the Roshi. He's very.
I think the turtle does appear in episode 2.
Okay, well that's that. We are introduced to him then.
And then Roshi's in 3.
That's right.
So yeah.
Just 2 ended with the narrator saying they were waiting for Master Roshi. We're off to the sunset, and then we run the.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's He's very pivotal. He's very important. He's very symbolic.
Yeah, it is. And again, that just goes to show you how far the series has come since then.
Yeah.
Almost 200, almost like 100 and almost 200 episodes later.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, but he gave Krillin good advice, and it ultimately they did led them to the mermaids tier, along with Gohan.
But the fish were very protective of it, and they opted to not kind of swap steal the thing. They opted, what, we don't want to mess with nature here. Let's just leave it be and let's get out of here.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
It was a really nice, it's a very nice epilogue in that respect. I mean, the whole merit of it all is still out of left field, but beyond that,
yeah.
The fish defendant, they kind of leave, and then we have this random breakup. But I always remember this episode as because I think honestly on home video with my exposure to this, I had the VHS tape, and I think I had the. I was on the DVD of the VHS, but it might have been the VHS tape in Garlic Jr.'s case. Anyway, so I think I either had the first tape or the last tape in it. I think it was the first tape, but for some reason, I remember because you know what it was? Scratch what I just said. I did have the tape and everything, but I think it was the first. I think it was the first tape for the beginnings of this. But what I remember is in the opening. The opening, they always use the Krillin and Marin walking on the beach shots. That's why I'm vividly remembering this ending.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's a reason for that.
Well, I mean, the ending part, though, is not,
Yeah.
It's not the introduction to Marin, though, something else. Anyway, so it's a very random breakup. It's just kind of Krillin, breaking it off. Just, instead of, what?
Basically, he's basically just like, if you love someone, set you free. And that's what I'm doing. I'm setting you free.
It's very clunky. It's a nice scene. Look, I want to be clear. So Krillin, I think it's a nicely acted scene on Krillin's with Sony Straight's part, but
But then she admits she would have said yes to him.
Yeah, it's a very.
But then immediately goes off with the next guy who looks at her.
So that's the thing, but I'll tell you, man, what's really nice. So after that, goes back to the comedy house. He kind of tells them, well, yeah, we're not getting married after all. And they say, it's for the best, Krillin. They're all very supportive of him. It's delightful.
And we meet his other wife in the next saga.
Yeah, that's true. So, there's other, as we learned in that epilogue, in the pursuit of the mermaid's tear pearl, there are other fish in the sea.
Yep, much better fish in the sea.
Yes.
A fish that's more worthy of Krillin.
Yep. Also kind of mechanical.
That too.
Yeah. And that's it.
Yep. That one went pretty quickly.
Yeah.
How long did we because if I remember correctly, the Frieza saga we discussed for the Saiyan saga went on for 3 hours. The Frieza Saga, we talked about almost 2 hours and 45 minutes.
And after you reminisce, we were at basically an hour and a half.
Actually an hour 15 minutes.
I know. I'm just saying at this rate.
Well, I'm not going to talk much longer. I'm just saying. It just goes to show you like this how short this arc actually is.
Yeah, it's rather refreshing.
It was like it was a palate cleanser after the Frieza Saga.
Yep.
Like this, let's just say like you kind of definitely needed this buffer.
Oh yeah.
Between this saga and the next one, you kind of need it.
Yep.
And like I said, I legitimately did enjoy this arc. I had a lot of fun moments, and it was kind of nice to just take a bit of a break. And it had a kind of a villain that actually kind of succeeded in his goals. So
such a rarity.
Even if he did ultimately get defeated the same way he did in the movie he appeared in. So,
yeah, some people don't learn.
Yeah. As is life.
Yeah.
And technically he's not dead.
No. Honestly, let's do this for a second here. Of all the Dragon Ball Z villains, honestly, I'm with the exception of the androids. Well, yes and no with the android. The point being, I think RG might be like one of the only truly surviving Dragon Ball Z villains.
Yeah, I mean, they either get reformed.
Yep.
Or they die.
That's the thing. I mean, if a villain who did not reform, he is the only one that did not die.
Yep.
That's the thing. Garlic again. Everyone's always sleeping on Garlic Jr., but he's not the. I give him props.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a top tier villain by any means, but
again, he's the DBZ equivalent of Benford Pilaf. If Pilaf could fight and actually measure up to kind of our Z fighters, it would be
Basically, if Pilaf got his wish, he could have been this guy.
Exactly. I mean, ultimately, he's ruling the world. He eventually ruled the world with that Blackwater, the Blackwater mess. So it's a success. He's the successful Pilaf. Same voice, same blue complexion.
At least in the dub.
Yeah.
I don't know if he had the same voice in the Japanese version, but
maybe.
Yeah. But clearly, Chuck Huber has that voice, has that kind of impish voice down.
Yep, and also very popular character in Yu Yu Hakusho.
I haven't watched that yet. I still haven't watched that yet, so I don't know.
The range on Huber is always impressive because he plays like sometimes these Weasley characters, but also these really cool characters. And he's going to play a character in the next saga we're going to be talking about.
I've actually seen the character that he voices in that saga.
Yeah.
The teacher.
Well, another character too, but yeah.
Okay, so I haven't gotten to the one you're referring to then.
Yeah.
And I looked up the character Sabat plays from Yu Yu Hakusho, the guy with the pompadour.
Yeah, Kuwabara.
Kuwabara, yep. I haven't watched it yet, but I'll get to it.
Just watch episode 1 at least, man. Come on.
Okay, I'll watch episode. But I've been busy watching the next saga.
Yeah.
And the next saga is shaping up to be pretty cool so far.
Oh yeah.
So speaking of which, you've given your closing thoughts, and I've given mine. So I think it's time to take us out.
Well, Jay, did we find anything?
Actually, Dragon, I think we did. You see, while Garlic Jr. was distracted with the Z team, I found this. The 3 stars.
Boom, boom.
I found it. I found it in Kami's Lookout.
Nice.
Yep. So that's 3 down.
Yeah.
We better get our wishes ready.
Yep.
So. All right. So I think that does it.
Mm-hmm.
Having sent Garlic Jr. back to the dead zone, all seemed well in the world. But in a short time, a new threat will emerge, having roots in Goku's past. All the while, a mysterious warrior from the future emerges. All of this and more in the Android Saga. And next time on Journey into Dragon Ball Z.